Don't let fear wreak havoc over your life. Let me tell you something. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. One thing I say all the time is the enemy knows you better than you know yourself. The enemy knows your destiny. The enemy knows the purpose that God has for you or everything that God is calling you to do. So at the end of the day, when the enemy sends certain people your way, or he allows certain obstacles to obstruct you from whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing next, this is all a part of the enemy's plan. The enemy is not doing these things just because, right? The enemy wants to stop the building of God's kingdom. And if you're a part of that plan, the enemy is going to try to do everything in his power to stop that. You know, there are certain things that, I've struggled with in my life, and I had to acknowledge these things. And I think one thing that we have to do as believers is to be able to acknowledge our wrongdoing, right? Or acknowledge things that we know is hindering us from moving forward. And so it may not always be considered a bad thing, but it still are things that could be preventing us from, doing whatever that next thing is that God is calling us to do. So one thing I struggled with was time management, procrastination, feeling like there's moments of laziness and not understanding like what's going on. There's been so many other things that I think could be taking part in that, like as far as health issues and that sort of thing, like having, anemia and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, acknowledging these things and saying, okay, what can I do in order to kind of shift the perspective into a more positive direction? So it could look different for you, right? There could be different things that you're struggling with. God could be, calling you to ministry. God could be calling you to, support somebody financially, to forgive somebody, to start an organization for at-risk youth, to start that business, go back to school, whatever it is, right? God could be calling you to so many different places, but the enemy will try his best to send people or different obstructions to get in your way to prevent you from doing the things that God is calling you to do. So you have to be vigilant. You have to be open. You have to pay attention to your surroundings and what's going on, and not just be, oblivious to your surroundings and not understanding that a lot of the attacks that we have are spiritual attacks. 2 Corinthians verse 7 says, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. You have to stand true on the word. You have to read the word, meditate on the word, and really understand the word and understand it for yourself, not what your pastor say, not what your mom and daddy said or your friends or whoever. Stand true on the word from what you read yourself, and don't allow fear to prevent you from moving forward or doing whatever it is that God is calling you to do.